Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I have a fun fold card for you, and it is using the new Clubhouse bundle that's in the mini catalog from January to June. And it comes with the stamp set, Clubhouse, and the Clubhouse dies, a lot of dies, and some of them I have out of there that I used on the card. I love the fact that this has all the motif for golfing and it has a Father's Day. However, I think the girls were a little slighted on this one because I know a lot of women golfers, not me being one of them, but I see a lot of ladies through my neighborhood that are golfers, and I think there could have been a woman in there. So I made my card actually for a guy or a girl. So I didn't put the guy on there, so this could be given to one of your friends or family members that loves golf and is a woman. So let's get started with what we're using here. You can see this great designer paper, and it's called Country Club designer paper. Look at all those bright colors: Crushed Curry, Garden Green, Night of Navy, Poppy Parade, and some basic gray in there. Great motifs of golf on the back of the cards as well as the patterns on the front. And then it has this really neat one here. Oh, I guess we did get a girl in there, so we've got to save this piece of the designer paper for the women in your life that golf. So this you can actually color in, and I did see some cards on Pinterest where people have colored those in. So this card just opens up this way, and it has a card base of Night of Navy. And that card base, and don't worry about writing down the measurements, they will be on the blog post for my card. If you go to CindyLeeBDesigns.com, put in the search bar under my photo on the right, put in Clubhouse or Fun Fold, and this will pop up and you can see it. You can also go for the description on the YouTube. Right underneath the video for YouTube, you'll have a description there where I have all the items that I used and a link to take you right straight to my blog. So we're going to be using a A2 size that's going to fit into your A2 sized envelope, and it is 5.5 by 4 1/4. It's just a quarter of one of our pieces of cardstock. So that's going to be the back of your card, and then we're going to mount this Fun Fold onto this back panel piece here. Now I went ahead and picked these darker colors. There's some really pretty array of bright colors in here, and deciding on the colors, I was playing with the poppy, but it just really looked grounded having these two blues and greens on the back of the card. So this piece of Garden Green is 4 inches by 11. So we are going to take that and we are going to score it to make that Fun Fold. So we're going to put the 11-inch side up at the top of our trimmer, and we are going to, let's pull this arm out on my trimmer, and we are going to score it at 2. I have an ink pad over there. So we're going to score it. Now this is your cutting one, so always keep the darker one up at the top when you're going to be scoring with the lighter colored one. Thank you that the colors are still the same on this new trimmer. So we're going to score at 2, and then we're going to score at 3 3/4. We're going to score again, and then we're going to score at 7 1/4. Let me pull this over here a little bit. So 7 1/4, and then we're going to score at 9, and put it right there at 9. Make sure it stayed in place. I think I might have moved it. There we go. 9, and then do the last score. Okay, so there we go. Put our trimmer back down there, and then I'm going to flip it over and on this mountain side do my scoring. Now I'm going to use my bone folder on this because I want to make sure that I keep all of my lines straight on the top and on the bottom because it just looks better that way. So I'm going to fold this over, making sure that the edges are straight, and then I'm going to burnish that, and then I'm going to fold back, and once again making sure that I'm straight, because if I'm not, I can kind of pull the paper a little bit and make sure that these lines, because actually I made a card earlier and I wasn't really paying attention. I just folded it willy-nilly and I didn't bone folder it, and it was actually a little bit off, and it really made a difference. So you can tell that they're straight on the top and the bottom, and then fold back again, and then you score it nice on that score line. So now that is the hardest thing you're going to do on this card. You're essentially almost done. So I'm going to pull a piece of grid paper here to show you how I put this green backing onto my card, okay? So if you put your Knight of Navy against any place, just put your Knight of Navy into onto the anywhere on here that you've got the corners into the corners of a square. We're going to want to have 3 squares. Like when you put your paper down like this, you're going to want to have 3 squares on each side, okay? And then about 1/8 of an inch on the top and on the bottom. And I think we're actually safe to go ahead and put this on right now. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn over my garden green, and I'm going to put a little more adhesive than I normally do. And then we are going to, as I said, you want 3/4 of an inch on each side. So you're not going from these sides, you're actually going to pull those up, and you're going to make sure you have the same amount on the top and the bottom. Pull these little guys up there. And I've got about 1/8 of an inch on the top and 1/8 of an inch on the bottom, and you can see I'm using my grid paper there, and I'm lining it up right there at that. Oh, I did it. Oh no, you actually are doing it with 4 squares. It's 1 inch actually. I'm sorry, not 3 squares. It's 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when it folds down, you're at 3 squares. I was thinking, why was I thinking 3 squares? So if you want to mount it this way, you can. You'll have 3 squares showing, so 3/4 of an inch on each side. But if you're holding it open, you have that extra 1/4 inch there. And so that is essentially, like I said, the hardest part of the card. So we're going to pull this out and get things a little bit tidy here again. And then we're just going to put some Designer Series paper on these 2 2-inch flaps. So of course, these flaps are going to go 1/8 inch border around all the sides. So that means these Designer Series papers are going to be 1 3/4 wide by 3 3/4 long. So that'll fit in to, almost made me, I think what would that look like? Ooh, that looks nice too. Ooh, but I like the, ooh, I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna do it right on the fly, and I'm gonna cut another piece of this, and I'm gonna make it so that we can see this. So I'm gonna take the opposite side there and 3 3/4. There we go. And you know, I'll end up taking the adhesive off that other piece, but right now on camera it would have taken too long. So let's make this card this way, okay? So we're going to, I love that. I've been doing that quite a few times lately. So I'm going to put my Argyle, which has the greens and blues. There we go. And then we are going to also put one over here. So then when I post these on the blog, you can see how you could have used so many different patterns of paper on here, almost every single one of them. You just might change up your colors a little bit if you have, you know, more concentration of a certain color. Okay, so there we go. We have our Designer Series paper on it. Then you have a focal point that you'll put on the front here. And what I did is I took my largest square, my largest stitch shape square, there, that's the good side. And I ran it through I used the largest square, ran it through the Big Shot, and then I also embossed it with the subtle. But it's actually, yeah, this is, you want to look for the stitching. So I then mounted it on, I thought the navy gave it a nice border there with the navy on the card base. So if this is 2.5 inch square, this would be a 2 3/4 inch square. So we're just going to put some snail on the back of that stitch square, and we're going to mount it onto our Knight of Navy 2 3/4 inch square, and then that is going to go onto the front of our card. So I just used my dies that are in that set. They have this great golf ball die that has all the dimples on it, and then you have this great tuft of grass there, and this awesome tee here. And of course it has like a pointy end, but I just made it look like it was down into the ground. Plus it fit onto the card better as well. So we've got those dies that come in that die set that's called the golf club dies. So I already popped those out. We've got the golf ball, the tee, and I used 4 of the tufts of grass. So what I did is I just put the 2 tufts of grass. Now I'm going to bring out my silicone mat just so I don't get adhesive all over my craft surface. And then I'm going to put 2 of these tufts of grass. Now you'll notice that the one side has some embossing on it, so that's a nice textural thing there. And you're just going to put them right, I always like to keep everything kind of in a straight line there. So we're going to put 2 tufts of grass right about, let's go up about an inch. So count up 4 squares and put a tuft of grass. And then these 2 tufts of grass are going to sit behind the golf tee and the golf ball. And I'll just put another one right beside it, leaving it about the same amount of space on each side. And then when I go to put this golf, I want the golf ball to be able to fit on there. So I'm going to just take my snips and get as straight as I can on my golf tee. And then that golf tee is going to look like it's down into the ground there. We're going to put some dimensionals on the back. And we're using up all these edges. I have enough edges. Oh gosh, I have so many of them. So we know that our golf ball, we want it to sit kind of right about in the middle and a little bit in the plane, but if it goes up a little bit above your square, that's okay. But I think we're good there. And then we're going to put some adhesive on the back of our tee. There we go. Fold over any bit of that snail. Just get that. Any edges off there. Okay, and then we're going to pop that right in the middle of the grass. There you go. Add a little pop of color on that. Even though we don't have red in here, I think the pop of color is going to be a welcome pop of color. Then we're going to put 2 pieces of grass over here, but we're going to put these up on dimensionals. So let's just use some of these edges again. I'm just snipping off these little edges here. They were actually just a perfect size to fit right on the bottom of the shot of grass there. Shock of grass, tuft of grass, something like that. And then we're going to pop those on each side of the tee, a little bit up from the bottom of the tee. So we'll put one there and stick another one on. I love these dies. So there we go. We've got a gender neutral golf club card. We're going to put some adhesive only on the 1/2 side that's going to go onto the panel that's folding over. So only do half of the on, you know, the left side, if that's the way you'd like to open it. And then we're going to pop that right in the middle of our square. And we've got that part of the card done. Now we just have to finish off the inside. So the inside has a space that's 3.5, it's 3.5 by 4. So we're gonna go 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. So that's the piece of Whisper White that I cut to fit into there. And what I did is I went ahead and just put the stamped image of the golf tee in there. So I love the fact that you could use on the outside of the card the die, and on the inside you still get to use the versatility of the stamp set and use the stamped golf ball. So we're just going to pop that down here, and we have that at the bottom, and then we're going to put our sentiment up here. I see, looks like I got some adhesive on there. Okay, so we're going to take our sentiment And I'm going to stamp it in Night of Navy just to pull that Night of Navy into the inside of the card. So I'm just going to stamp with Night of Navy. I'm just going to use my grid paper again as my horizon line. And then I'm just going to stamp. I hope the next year is full of green fairways, blue skies, and short putts. And so adding a little bit of color to our golf ball down here. This is a little tricky here because we have wonderful blends that I'm going to use to color in my golf tee. And that just carries the red from the outside of the card to the inside of the card. So we're just putting in that Poppy Parade. So we have that Poppy Parade, but the green that we have in our line of blends is actually Old Olive and Shaded Spruce and Call Me Clover, but we don't have Garden Green. And the Call Me Clover, when I used it, actually was a little too bright. So I just went to my Garden Green marker, and this worked wonderfully because I'm only doing a small area, so I'm not gonna have any streaking with it. And so I just used the fine tip side, and I colored in the pieces of grass. And I just kind of went along that line there. And then I just colored in these little blades of grass. A lot of times when you're coloring with Stampin' Write markers, which are indispensable. I mean, they're very, very valuable tool, but I use them a lot for filling in little boo-boos I make, or if I want to actually use two different colors on my stamp, because you can't use blends for that. But I did notice that because it's a small area, you didn't see, like if I would have tried to color in even that T with a Poppy Parade marker, I wouldn't have been happy with the look of it. So there we go. And I'm going to, oh, and you know what? I colored it, even though this is a white area on the, that should have been white, it looks better colored in. So there we go. We have our golf tee. And then all we have to do is pop that inside our card. And we finished off a really cool fun fold. Now, I keep stressing that this is great for girls and guys, but you know how guys are. When they get a card, they think it's cool when it's mechanical. So a fun fold for a guy is awesome. And this would make a great Father's Day card. Happy Father's Day. And there are dies in this set that cut out the shield kind of here, and also cuts out the, oh, where did I put that? I had it over here because I was going to, oh darn, now I can't find it. But I cut out these, the die cut of the ivy that went around the emblem here. Why am I, shield, emblem, what's the other word for that? Shield, emblem, your crest, a crest? Yes, so it was really awesome too, but I just kind of left this, you know, like I said, for a guy or a girl. And so you've got an easy, easy fun fold. Think of all the different cards that you can make using this simple fun fold. It gives you enough room to write in here. However, if you wanted to put a panel on the back of here so that you could write a message on here, you certainly could. And as long as you have a great focal point when you open the card, that is awesome. So if you make one of these cards, I'd love to have you send me a picture of them. You can text me at 724-323-2296 or give me a call if you have any questions. You can go to my blog, CindyLeeBDesigns.com, to see more pictures and other tips I might say on my blog about making this type of card. You can also check out my YouTube channel, CindyLeeBDesigns.com. I like to post a video for you every Wednesday. So subscribe to that and you'll be notified whenever I post. And subscribe to my blog because you'll also get a notification. I like to blog at least 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and also other days when there's some exciting news coming along the Stampin' Up! News lines. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me. I'd love to chat with you. Send me an email, CindyLeeB@gmail.com. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.